Hello, everybody. It's been a while since I've been on. Excuse me. Been pretty busy. So I thought I'd come on and work on this insert. I'm calling it an Americana 4th of July insert for my truck, my old farmhouse truck. So with the 4th of July right around the corner, this would be perfect. It's a little bit late for the season, but if you're into Americana like I am, and your house is decorated in a primitive country rustic way, this would be a perfect insert for your truck. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on this. I'm gonna start off, I think, by painting the bell first. And the reason why I'm going to do that is, if you look, it's actually behind, it would be behind the Uncle Sam. I'm a little undecided how I'm going to do this Uncle Sam's beard. I don't know if I'm going to do it like a gnome beard. You know, this is an Uncle Sam gnome. Or just make it a plain white beard. I'm just not quite for sure yet. So we will, it's a wing it time type of day. So we will see as I go. So we're going to go ahead and get started, like I said, with the Liberty Bell. And I'm going to kind of mimic it after the other one I did. So, and Facebook is acting a little weird. So, oh, you didn't? I'm sorry, honey. Facebook is being weird, and I don't have a full screen. It's kind of, I don't know, it's weird. So, very, very weird. So, obviously, some things have changed since I last was on Facebook. I don't know. So, what I'm going to use for the wooden part is, and hello to the people that are watching. Thank you for joining. What I'm going to use on the wooden part of this bell is honey brown. And I'm really not able to see comments for some reason. It's kind of weird. Part of my screen is cut off. So it's very, very weird. So bear with me. So I'm just going to paint the top part of this bell, the wooden part, honey brown. I might have to see if I can fix my iPad display on break, because it's definitely not... it's not showing all the way. It's kind of weird. And it was fine the other day, so I don't know. I hope everyone's been well. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've been on here, a couple weeks at least. I've been really, really busy. And next week is going to be exceptionally busy for me. So I know I won't get this finished this week at all, that I know. I doubt if I'll be on tomorrow. But for sure we'll finish it up next week. And what a perfect week to finish it up. It is the 4th of July. And it's a warm one today. My goodness gracious. Very, very humid up in this room. Yeah, they definitely have changed Facebook. That is so weird. at least on my end. And I want to try and make this wooden part a little weathered, so I am going to go back and sand it just to roughen it up a little bit, make it a little bit worn and weathered. So I'm really not being really fussy about how I'm putting my paint on. I know we have tornado watches and warnings in our area to early evening. So I will definitely be keeping an eye on the weather while I'm doing this. And if it gets a little testy, I will be ending this. But really it seems okay today. It's a little windy, but nothing major. Yeah, I know Facebook, my app updated today, so I thought that was kind of interesting. So maybe something with the update is what's going on. I don't know. So, but I noticed that earlier today when I was doing this, did a test run because I've been having issues. Sorry, I'm playing around here with my iPad. I don't know. Very weird. But I know I've had some issues with the internet and so forth, as far as Wi-Fi goes. So, who knows? So like I said, I'm just using honey brown on the wooden part of this bell. Boy, we had some really hot days a few weeks ago. My goodness gracious. I mean, that was crazy. I don't know. Very weird what's going on. Sorry for all the messing around here. I don't like that when someone's messing around. While you're live, but I don't know. It's very weird. So, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to carry on. So, I think what I'm going to use is some raw sienna to shade. And I don't know how well my paint's going to react. Because the humidity levels are really, really high. I mean, it's really high. So it could make painting a little bit testy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade around all this. And then I'm going to go back and then just sand it lightly, just to distress it a little bit. And if I didn't say, I'm using raw sienna to shade. I just want a little bit of a different color. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart this iPad and see if that does anything. Because I can't see how many people's watching, so if someone comes on, I can't say hello, and that's, you know, I don't want someone to think that I'm just ignoring them, because that's just not the type of person I am. So I'll try and restart it, see if that makes a difference. Either will or it won't. And I don't know if you can hear my bird Snickers in the background, but she's very, very talkative today. Sometimes when I watch these back, I can hear her loud and clear. And sometimes you can't. And that didn't make a difference at all. So that's too bad. And part of the screen is cut off. It's very weird. So. And what's weird is I have two screens. It's very, very weird. So, I'm not worrying about it. I'll either figure it out at break or the next time I go on live. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay. Let's see. Now, the last time I painted this Liberty Bell, I remember I used slate gray and then kind of sanded it down, and then did a neutral gray, I believe, over top of it, and then sanded it down again, and then I came back, I think, with some zinc. So I'm going to just stick with that way I did it. And I'm just using a makeup sponge and going very lightly, because I do have score marks, score lines on this bell, and I really don't want to get paint in them. I mean, if I do, it is fixable. There are tools out there that you can purchase. I use these little cheapy things from Dollar Tree. It's been busy out on the farm this past few days, bringing in all that hay. They went through a lot of hay this year, a lot. Oops, I got a little paint on there. Let's see. No biggie. I kind of feel a little discombobulated. It's been so long since I painted. Like I said, I've been pretty busy. Created a few designs. What's funny is I actually started a design a couple years ago. And I'll be darned, I had an idea, and somebody has the same idea. And that's okay, because I'm still going to release my design. It happens. I have a few years worth of designs that I started, and things, you're designing and it just isn't going the way you envision, so you stop and take a break from it and start something else, and at least that's what I do. And then sometimes I go back to it after I finish up whatever it is that I started. And sometimes I don't. Well, I probably should have went back and finished this one, because like I said, somebody had an idea. It's similar, but it's not. I mean, well, It's similar. But it's okay. I'm not going to get upset about it. When you're creative, I mean, people's gonna come up with your same ideas as you. I don't know if the display has something to do with this either. So it's just weird. I'll probably have to call Apple again. So like I said, I can't see anyone coming on. If you don't say anything, I don't know you're here, so I'll have to figure it out the next time before I go live. So, but until then, I don't know. So. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and sand this board part. I'm going to remove it off my screen to sand it because I don't want the dust in my painting area and get in my paint. So I'm going to go off camera here briefly. Getting dust in your paint is not ideal. So I always try and sand away from my painting surface. That's just me. So as you can see, I just lightly sanded, and it just causes a little distress. It makes it a little bit weathered. And that's kind of what I'm going for. And what I used is, I just got these off of Amazon. I think they're called sanding sticks. They come in various grits. They're really nice for smaller areas. So, while I'm at it, I might as well just go ahead and sand this bill too. And remember, if you're going to sand, do any type of sanding on your pieces, whether it's, I always sand my wood pieces before I start painting them. Or, if you're going to sand them just to distress them, you always want to use a tack cloth to get that powder off. Because that'll leave a mess on your surface. I mean, you'll get powder on your surface. It'll mess with your paint. So if you have a tack cloth, I recommend using that. If you don't, I've actually used a napkin or a paper towel. So I just happen to have a tack cloth because, I do a lot of sanding. Now I'm just putting neutral gray over top of this, just to just sporadically here and there, just to darken it up a little bit. Kind of change the color. Just to make it a little bit darker. I'm not really caring how I'm putting it on. I'm just pouncing it on here and there. If it gets darker in some areas, that's fine. It's no big deal. And I think if I wasn't mistaken, I actually might have used graphite one time too, because my other bow I think was a little bit darker than this, but I'm not going to worry about it. And then I'm just going to go back and just water down this neutral gray and just kind of go over this just to make the color the same, but I'm not caring if it's a solid paint job. I'm looking for weathered, so. Then I am going to go back and do some shading. And do a little dry brushing. So I'm not going to fuss too much. I think I'll do the graphite because that's just a little bit darker for my shading. I actually have a little bit too much water on there, but oh well. I'd rather have too much water than paint. Find a smaller dry brush. I just want to dry brush a few darker spots throughout the bell. And here's the deal. If I don't like it, I'll just go back over it. And when it comes to dry brushing, what you do is you put paint on your brush, and then what you want to do is rub it into a paper towel, napkin. You're basically rubbing the paint off. And then you just lightly go to wherever it is that you want to put this on and just rub lightly. And you might have to go over it a few times, but it's always best to start off light and work your way to darker when doing the dry brush method, because you can get too much paint on and you it'll leave like a solid spot on there. So it does happen. Like I said, I'm just kind of going for a weathered look. No rhyme or reason. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I actually used soft black a little bit too last time. And I just, for me, and this is just me, I kind of like when I dry brush go in circles, so I'm not possibly getting a harsh line. That way it's blending what I'm doing outwards. There's no right or wrong to how you do it. So whatever you feel more comfortable with, that's what you do. I'm just going to take a little bit of this slate gray and kind of just put a little highlighting here up top of the bell. And like I said, it's really humid up here in this room, so I might have a tough time today with stuff. Humidity can be a bummer when you're painting. If you think about it, I mean, it is when you're, if you're doing any type of painting in your home, outside, I mean, weather conditions play a big part in how paint reacts. And I'm just dipping the corner of my brush in and then taking it to my paper palette and blending it. Because what I'm trying to do is get a gradient look when I apply it to my surface. I want it to go from like a solid color of paint to where it's almost invisible. That's what I'm looking for. And I think I might even try and go around like the round part here. Now I know I did get some paint in those crevices, and I'll go back and dig them out once I'm done. And you'll see me use my finger a lot to blend. Well, I think a lot of people actually do that, to be honest with you. It's actually a great blending tool, believe it or not. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of dry brushing maybe to the edge of these spell. I just want a little bit lighter. I'm probably gonna have to go back. That's actually too much paint on my plate. Like I said, I'm just rubbing lightly. My bird is just talking up a storm down here. I'm glad she can keep herself company. And another thing I do sometimes when I'm dry brushing is I will do like a zigzag effect. So there's no rhyme or reason behind what I'm doing on the Liberty Bell. I'm just trying to get a little bit of texture going. And I am going to sand this off a little bit just to rough it up. Just to distress it. I mean, that's not something you have to do. But I just think, I thought I'd try that. So, just trying to distress it a little bit. And I might go back over that. I don't know. All right. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and get started. Painting the hat. And the color I'm going to use is warm white. Not warm. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to use light buttermilk. I apologize. Honestly, the light buttermilk it's almost a white. It's got a little yellow tint to it. Just a little bit. I mean, when you view this on camera, you're gonna think it looks like white. It's that close. And it'll take a couple coats because this goes on pretty sheer. Unless you put it on really thick. I don't do that. I rather do several coats because I'm trying to avoid getting brush marks in my paint. But a lot of people just want to put it on thick and go, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not something I do. I just try to avoid creating brush strokes in my painting surface. I just feel that I avoid that by putting on thin coats and just building it up. And I like to, I water down my paint when I'm applying it. I just feel, and this is just me, I feel the paint moves better on the surface when it's watered down somewhat. I mean, because water is your friend when painting, whether it's, you know, base coating, whether it's floating. I mean, you definitely need water when you float. You can get much water, but you learn the right consistency over time. You'll learn that over time. And while I'm doing that, I might as well just go ahead and paint this flag. And you'll know when you need to really actually, get your brush a little bit more wetter or add more water to your paint, because you'll feel your paintbrush kind of drag against the surface. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but you'll feel it drag, and then also too, you'll kind of be able to see the way the paint's going on. You won't get like a smooth coverage. It'll kind of be jaggedy towards the side, the side of your brush where you're applying it. I mean, for me, I can see that. I mean, if you've been doing this a while, you know, for someone just starting out, those are good ways to tell that, you need a little bit more moisture in your brush. There's a lot of great groups on Facebook. There's great videos out on YouTube to watch people paint. So if you want to learn about technique, or if you're unsure how to do something, or, I just watch. One, I do learn stuff, but some of these people that paint on Facebook are just so talented. I mean, they are really talented. I have a few people that I watch on YouTube. I like Lana Lamb. I think she's very, very talented. I like Sharon Cook. There's a lady, and I don't want to mispronounce her last name, but I know she goes by Jilly Bean, I believe. Wow. She is talented. She's an amazing painter. Amazing. I really enjoy watching her. And she has a totally different style on how to do some things that I don't think I could do. But she is just amazing. So if you're looking for inspiration, or if you just like watching people paint, I recommend going to YouTube, looking up the few people that I said, and catch their videos. And I can tell you right now, Lana Lamb and Sharon Cook have a lot to choose from. And I'm actually thinking about purchasing the video that Jilly Bean, she did a painting of Ebenezer Scrooge, and it's pretty much all black and white and grays. It looks almost like a charcoal painting. I mean, it is amazing. Amazing. She doesn't have that up on YouTube to view for free. I think you have to purchase the video, but it would just be worth it because, I mean, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. She's talented. Wow. I'm just going to bebop all around here on this surface and paint whatever's white, except for the beard. And the reason why I'm waiting on that is I want to do my jacket first, because I'll be shading, and I don't want to paint my beard and then take a chance of having an oops moment and shading onto my beard. So I just prefer to save that for later. And something you'll see me do is whether I dip my paintbrush in the water or the paint, after I'm done, I'll go to my napkin and I'll tap. Just because I don't want a big glob of water or a big glob of paint on my paintbrush. It's habit. It's just something I like to do. I had someone ask me that. So that's why I do that. I might not do it all the time, but I probably do it 80% of the time. They're bringing a lot of hay in. And something else, I actually have a little bit of water on my plate next to my paint. And I will mix my paint in with that little bit of water. And the only reason why I do that is I feel it goes on smoother. So, but it's just a minimal amount of water on my plate. So maybe, try that, just, I think just for me, always dipping my brush in the water all the time, I just get a buildup of water and it just goes on my plate. So try that, maybe having a little bit of water on your plate if you're struggling with having moisture in your brush, being able to move the paint around easily. Try that. See if that helps. And on a hot day like today, I mean, your paint's gonna dry out faster. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay, I know I have some white stars to paint, so I might as well do that too, since I have this out. I know I'm going to do the same thing that I did the last time, is I'm going to put cut stars on the hat band. Go ahead and get those painted. There's stars that go on the flag. I know you can't see that. I know we'll go around these stars with a little bit of antique white. Or might just do a little wash over them to just give them a little rustic feel. So so it's just not this bold light buttermilk. I like to do that from time to time. Just put like a wash. Those dry up and coat them again. All right. I like to shade the light buttermilk with antique white. I try and thin it out a little bit. So that's what I'm gonna do. This antique white is probably one of my favorite colors. I use it all the time. So I'm just trying to really water it down and blend. I'm blending it really, really well. Just so it's not that bold. The color's not that bold. I want it faint. I'm trying to give it like an aging look, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to age that buttermilk. So if you're not watering it down, if you just take it to your surface and just blend it really, really good, that'll help with that. I mean, you can blend too much. And basically what blending is doing is, even though you're putting paint on your brush, like I'm putting this much, which is actually too much, but taking it over and blending it, it's actually thinning out the consistency of the paint. If you see, I hardly have any paint on there. So it's thinning out the consistency of the paint, how much paint is there. And therefore it's going to give me a lighter, whether it be shading or highlighting. It's going to be lighter. It's not going to be so bold. And, you know, if you've listened to me before, I don't like a harsh line. I like it subtle. That's me. That's my personal preference. That's what appeals to me. Doesn't mean I'm right. People that like bold shading and highlighting doesn't mean they're right. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. I'm just here to show you the techniques that I use. Not saying they're right. It's the must-be way. But, you know, you have to decide what you like best. I think I'm going to try something different this time. I think I'm just going to go along these lines instead of the outside. Now I will go back on the other side, but I want to wait to this is actually dry, because if I was to do it now, I'd be wiping off exactly what I just put on because the surface is wet. So I'm just trying to go for a really, rustic feel, real country. That's just what I'm going for. And see just how that kind of changes. It's kind of hard to see in the camera. It's a shame. I'll try and hold that up. See if you can see it better. But if you look at my white area on the firecracker, it just kind of gives it an antique-ish feel. That's really, really blurry. So I apologize. But it just gives it an antique-y feel. And that's what I'm going for. That's just my taste. That's what I like. If you have that same type of style, you might really want to consider using this antique white. It's really a nice color to use. Let's see. These need another coat. And my water is pretty darn nasty. So I foresee myself taking a short break here and emptying it out. I don't know which one of these are the right ones. Looks like it could fit. And I'm just doing a light wash and then I'm tapping it off. Just because I want, I don't want these bold white. That's just me. I just want them to look a little bit weathered. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. Then I'm just kind of moving the water and the paint around with my finger. Just to blend it. All right. I think before I take my break, I think I will go ahead and put the red on. Because that'll dirty up the water quicker than anything. So I think I'll just go ahead and do that now. And then I'll go and change my water. I'm using Country Red. I like this color. It's probably, I probably use it. This is my go-to color. I use it all the time. It's just really a pretty color. Now, red sometimes doesn't cover very well, so you might have to go and put a couple coats, sometimes maybe even 3. If this was a larger surface I was trying to cover with the red, I would be putting another color down on before this, which I like to use a green. That helps with coverage of the red. There's just certain colors that don't cover very well. So I have to say, excuse me, congratulations to Enrique Freeman from the University of Akron. He got drafted to the Indiana Pacers. And this young man is an awesome basketball player. He was a walk-on at Akron. He just He was there to be a student. He wasn't there to be a basketball player, and I'm here to tell you, whoa. Such a good player. I hope he makes it. Thank you, Indiana, for drafting him. And he just seems like an all-around nice young man. So I hope you do well. And if by chance, Indiana, you choose not to keep him, I hope Cleveland picks him up. Because I'd rather see you be a Cavalier. But I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next year. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're going to be on the bench. That's, yeah. But you never know. So I'm going to think good thoughts, and hey, you just don't know. But I was just so thrilled. I mean, he's a story in itself. He just really is. I mean, he went to Akron, not on a scholarship at all, not to play basketball, just to be a student. And he just showed up one day, and he was remarkable, and the rest is history. And I think I like that type of story. I always root for the underdog. Now I'm going to paint the brim of this hat red. So this red's going to be right next to red, but I'm going to be doing a little shading and highlighting, so hopefully that separates it. Hopefully. Because I did not make the hat band, not band, brim, a separate piece. I mean, I think sometimes you can actually get too many layers going in this style of designing. But that's just my opinion. So like I said, sometimes this red you have to put a lot of extra coats on because it just doesn't cover all that well. But it really is a pretty red. I used this when I did my painted my barn. I don't know if anyone has seen that video of my barn, but I really liked how that turned out, especially with the movable door. And here's the thing, if you're buying the SVG and you want to, cut it out, thank you, honey. And you don't really want to paint that tractor, you can always remove that and just have it blank. And just, just have it open up to, blank. I mean, that's something else you can do. I actually kind of thought about offering that like that, blank, and with the tractor, but and it's really not that hard to put together. I include very detailed assembly instructions for that and the windmill. I mean, it's very detailed with photographs and everything, drawings rather. And I actually did do a video putting that together. So that might be something I post in my private group. But also, too, if you have any problems, you can always, if you have any questions, you can always contact me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. But it's not really that hard if you got to follow the steps and follow them in the order. Because there's reasoning behind the way, it's put together. But it's not that hard. But I thought it was kind of different and unique. That's what I kind of try and do when I design, is try and be a little bit different and unique. Whoa, too much water. Too much. And I like to turn my pieces. I rotate them a lot while I'm painting. It just makes things easier for me. Not quite sure how long I've been on here. I'll have to check that. I know my videos can be long. I just take my time when I paint. That's just who I am. I'm not a fast painter. I'm not fast to do my crafts, period. Because I like to just take my time. That's just the type of person I am. But one thing that's nice about these videos is you can pause them and step away and then come back and resume. Plus, too, I enjoy painting. I find it relaxing, and sometimes I lose track of time of how long I've been on here. I lose track of time and don't realize until it's time to call it quits. Oh my gosh, I've been on here 3 hours. All right. So my husband and I went out to breakfast today. We've been going to the Circle restaurant a lot. I mean, it's been around forever. And they have really good food. And we went out there last night for dinner. But we've been going there for breakfast. And oh my gosh, were they busy today? Wow. They were so busy for breakfast. So going at 10 o'clock is not the smart choice. And it's out there by Berlin Lake, so I'm sure there's a lot of people that probably go there because there's a lot of campgrounds around that area, a lot. But this lady that waited on us yesterday, she was just phenomenal. And so we asked for her again today. I believe her name was Lisa. And really nice lady. Very attentive, but just very personable. So that will be our waitress moving forward every time we go out there. Their fish was really good. They have 2 different types of fish, and we chose the one kind. But we will definitely get the other kind. We like battered fish and not breaded. But it was a good dinner. And their tartar sauce, oh my gosh, amazing. And their coleslaw, amazing. It's hard to find places that do a creamy coleslaw anymore. It's just garbage, this coleslaw these people make, these restaurants. And I'm telling you what, the coleslaw is good. So my husband and I try and go to breakfast every weekend, whether it be Saturday or Sunday. It's just a routine we get into. And I think you need to, if you got a special somebody in your life, you need to do that. My husband and I will be married 32 years at the end of next month. We've been together a long time. I'm very blessed. I have a wonderful husband, a very supportive husband. I mean, he'll pop on here from time to time and make his comments, and some people might think it doesn't matter and it doesn't count, but it means everything to me. Because if you don't have the support of family and friends and your spouse, hey, as far as I'm concerned, you don't have anything. All right, I think I'm gonna do the same. That I did on here with the red. But I've got to get a very thin shading line. Because otherwise then I defeat what I try to do. But But I also want to get a little highlighting going too. So, my water's a mess. Let me see here. All right, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take a break. I need to empty out my water, and I will be back. Okay, I am back. So I think I'll start off by doing a little bit of highlighting first. Let's see. And while I was downstairs, I did check the weather. And it's not good. Not good at all. The county I live in, we have a tornado watch till 8 o'clock, and it is only 5:30 now, so 2.5 hours to keep an eye on the sky. All right, what I'm using to highlight the country red is a color called, well, it's a neon by Deco Art. It's one of the neons, and it's called Fiery Red. Now, this is a pretty bright color. The positive is it does fade, so you want to just kind of be gentle with this color. So I'm still kind of undecided what I want to do here to kind of separate that. That I got on a little bit brighter than I wanted, but I hope it fades. I'll just kind of use my mop brush and tap it out a little bit with hopes that it'll calm it down a little bit. Usually a mop brush is for if you get too much water when including highlighting and shading, but I have a tendency that I use it to kind of calm down what I've done. That's definitely a lot brighter than what I wanted. But, oh well. I kind of figured floating today, this painting period would be a little bit tough with all this humidity. Whoa, that's way brighter than what I wanted. Oh well. So that's what I'm saying. It can be very, very bright. I think today you just need a little bit more water when it comes to doing your shading and highlighting. Just because everything's drying so fast. And I'm just going to keep going back and adding more paint and water. I'm going to just dip my brush after each one. I see here I actually have too much water, but I don't have that brightness. And I really, oops, I got a little bit of color on the white that I didn't want. So I use Q-tips. Takes off the paint. I use Q-tips to glue with. Yeah, the key today for me is lots of water. So I end up getting that result that I'm after. That's how I normally would do it, is not working because it's just so humid. And here's the thing, if I ended up not liking that because that's too bright, I'll just go over it with some country red to calm it down. So there's always ways to fix things, so don't worry you get too much of something on, because everything's fixable. And I think I am going to go over that just a titch because that's a little bit brighter than what I wanted. Just a little bit. A little bit too bright for me. So I'm just going to put some regular, like I said, country red on there. And I'm just going to go back over it. And it's either going to cover it up, I have to highlight again, or it'll calm it down. What I'll do is I'll wait to see what the end result once it dries. Looks like I'll probably have to go over it again with highlighting, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm just putting more highlighting on the corner here, just kind of doing what they call walking the float, expanding my highlight over a little bit. That red's not quite dry yet. And I think I'm gonna put a little bit right here. Just so I can separate that's gonna meet. All right. Let's see. All right. Try this again. That's a bit better. All right. So it says I've been on here a little bit more than 2 hours. So I think what I'll do, what my goal will be, is to finish up the flag and this, maybe the jacket, and then I'm going to call it quits for the day. Because I am a little bit concerned about this weather. I'm going to shade with a color called Black Plum. This is a very, very dark color. And I'm a little bit nervous about this today because of the way the paint is reacting. Whoops, sorry about that. Because the paint is definitely drying a lot faster than it normally does. So I'm just going to make sure I use just a little bit. That's actually too much. But I'm just going to really make sure I have lots of water. And then I'm going to blend it. See how it took away a lot of that paint? And I'm just walking the float, trying to make that shading line a little bit wider. And I had an oops moment. Went a little bit over in my white paint. Now I'm gonna wait about shading around the nose. So I will definitely shade around that nose, but I'm just gonna wait a little bit on that. Yeah, last week the temperatures were just, they were unbearable. I mean, the nights have been cooling off, which is nice, but can't take the heat anymore. Oh boy. Way darker than what I wanted. Way darker. And that's my fault because I didn't blend it enough. But it's fixable. Like I said, it's a little bit darker than what I wanted, but I mean, I think a key to a good float is you really have to end up having hardly any paint on that brush once you're done blending it on your paper palette. That's just my thoughts on it. I don't know if that's really correct or not. But it seems like I end up with better results when I get rid of that glob of paint. Because if you think about it, when you start out, you have a glob of paint on there. Like I said, okay, there's a glob. And when you blend it, I mean, it's flattening it out. And sometimes I'll flip my brush over and even take off more paint. But I think that's the key. Just my opinion. All right. Especially with these darker colors. Like this black plum is just, it can be brutal. I mean, like I said, everything's fixable. But sometimes certain colors are just hard to cover up. All right. I need a really... Here we go. I'm going to put hardly any paint on. I mean, that's it. And I'm going to go around these stripes. I'm looking for a very thin line, so if it's a little bold, I don't care. And plus, too, I mean, I'm putting hardly any paint on, if you can see. Hardly any paint. And then I tilt my brush. And I'm just lightly touching the surface. And that one I could have used more paint. Because you can always go back. You can add more that you really can't take away. Oh, let me see where this nose goes. I might just shade on that while I have it out. I mean, my score lines are definitely smaller. I'll give that an opportunity to dry. Go back and hit these, the other side. And I don't know if you can realize this. You can tell I use a whole lot of water. And I mean, this is very, very damp. And I think what that does too, because, I mean, look how much water drains out of that and puts it into the net. That kind of also too helps keep moisture in my brush. And I do an excessive amount of water. Way more than you should. It's a bad habit I have. But yeah, I think that's pretty good. Hopefully you can see. I think I'm pretty happy with that. So we will move on to the blue. Get that going. I'm using a color called Uniform Blue. All the paints I use is Digital Art. This particular color, though, is retired. You won't find it. If you want it, you're going to have to... they have a formula on DecoArt's page that you can get the formula to make this color. It might take anywhere from 2 to 3 different colors. But if it was me, if you really end up liking this color paint, what I would do, if it was me, is I would then go to like Home Depot or Lowe's and I'd have the paint mixed up for you. That's what I would do. That's what I'm going to do when I run out. Because I really do like this color. It's really a pretty color. It's the perfect blue. Something I'm more comfortable with, I don't know if you notice I switch brushes. When it comes to getting up on an edge, going against another color, I like to switch down to the smaller brush. It's a 20 \0. And I use this brush all the time. I absolutely love it. For getting into small areas. You will see me use it lots and lots and lots of times. So don't be afraid to switch brushes. Don't stick with the brush, you know, just because you don't want to switch. Choose the right brush for this situation. Now I'm gluing white stars over top of this. So I don't care if I paint over these stars. But yeah, I'll switch brushes several times while I'm painting. Because, you know, this brush might work right now, but then it might not work in another area I need it to work in. I just stick with the brush that's going to give me the results that I want. I mean, the best kind of brush to base coat with, and that's basically what we're doing here is base coating. It's a flat brush. I think that's what works best for me. I just think a flat brush is the better choice. I've seen people use angle brushes. I've seen people use round brushes. Round brushes are another good choice. I've never used an angle brush to base coat, but people do it. Because if you think about it, you know, I'll use the angle brush to float shading and highlighting because I can turn it. But if you think about it, and here's an angle brush, you're not going to get a good coat because you'd have to have your brush like this, and then you're messing up your bristles. So I prefer to just use a flat brush. All the bristles are touching the surface at the same time, and you're going to get a better coverage, and you're not going to get those paint strokes. Now see how that didn't cover? Why? I'm out of water. I had plenty of paint still, but I ran out of water. So I wasn't able to move the paint. You gotta have water to move the paint. But you can get too much water. See, and I didn't dip back in, and I really couldn't move the paint. In time, you'll find what works best for you. Because what might work well for one person might not work well for the other. And when I get close to my edges, I kind of pull up on my brush to keep from paint going over onto the edges. I mean, if it does, there's things you can do. I'm just trying to avoid making extra work for myself. I have too much water on my brush. Too much. And this brush is actually really too small for the area. And I'm going all the way down to the edge, and the reason why is, I mean, it's the extension of the coat. That's the only reason why. I hope we don't get those storms, because we have a campground right down the street from our house, and we used to camp there, and we made a lot of friends, and wow, I would hate to see anything happen. It's windy here, but it's not too bad. But it's trying to be a little brutal. There's a lot of people out this way that live in mobile homes and double wides, and I worry about that. I'm still undecided how I want to do this beard. I'm still thinking about that. Part of me wants to do how I do a gnome beard. Excuse me. But part of me says the area is too small. I mean, I have a very small rake brush, and probably, I mean, I could use that, but the smart choice would be, and it would take a lot longer, is to use a liner brush. My liner brushes have seen better days. So, I don't know. I just don't know yet. So I'm still undecided. And the thing is, the mustache is going to be a separate piece. And if I did the lines, you know, I'd be having the lines swirling off onto the coat and whatnot. Because naturally, you know, your hair flows. It's not gonna, I mean, it's gonna be all over the place. That's just a natural given. So of course I'd have a few strands here and there. Whoa, That is just too much water. But when you go to put the mustache on, it's a separate piece. It's going to be above. There will be no flowing of the lines off the mustache because it is a separate piece. And I think it might look stupid. And I'd hate to go and do all that work. I'd have to go back and paint it a solid color. So I'm really on the fence. I'm really on the fence. If this was all one flat piece, I would definitely do the lines. I just would. But it's not. So that's just got me thinking, I don't know if that's the right choice. So that is something I'm going to think about. So I'm not doing the beard today. I don't even know if I'll do the beard tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. I think today's the only time I'm going to be painting. I'll be finishing this up next week. Where I have a long weekend. And maybe between now and next week, I can finish up something and paint that. But I do not offer any of my designs for sale until they are, an application has been filed with the Copyright Office. Learn my lesson the hard way. So if you are an artist and you sell your art in whatever form you sell it, protect yourself. Spend the time, spend the money, protect yourself. It's not that much money, especially if it's not published. If you register it before you publish it, because you can do multiple registrations for a very minimal price. So protect yourself, people. I think if I had it to do over again, and I'd probably change, I'd probably change the file. I'm probably going to. Where the stick goes, for the flag, I think I'm gonna make that a thicker line, and I'm gonna have it engrave. Now I have cuffs that you glue on, so I'm not being too meticulous, because that cuff is actually longer and wider. But I want a little bit of coverage. And I definitely got in the score line, so I need to go back and dig out. Woo! As usual, too much water. It's running like a sieve. I might... What the heck happened there? I might do some highlighting on here. Highlight the blue. That way, when I come back and go live, I'm not dirtying my water right out of the gate. Because I'm a stickler for clean water. Well, now that I'll paint these cuffs, I know some of these stars I'm going to, and I gotta paint that blue. I know some of these stars I'm gonna paint blue because I think I'm gonna do the lettering on the license plates red this time. But I'm gonna wait. Now, when it comes to these cuffs, believe it or not, there's buttons that go over it. I mean, teeny tiny buttons. But as I'm looking at this, it actually looks like it's engraved because the circle is so tiny. So I don't think I'm going to put the buttons on there. I'm just going to leave it as is. But if you were to purchase the file or the DIY kit, you would get the buttons. And you could decide for yourself what you wanted to do. Yeah, I'm getting undesirables. I don't know if you can hear my bird Snickers down there, but she is just talking to Alexa. And I kind of got it in that area, which I didn't want to. But I think it'll be fine. And you can't see. And I'm not moved in. My chair is not moved in enough. It's a terrible habit I have. Hello. That is too much paint. To the person that just joined, I'm working on Americana 4th of July patriotic insert for my old farmhouse truck. But I'm about almost finished for the day. A little bit, honey. Why? Are you? And if so, what are you thinking? You are? What are you thinking, honey? I'm about done. All right, let me finish putting this blue on. I'll wrap it up and I'll be down and we can talk about it, all right? All right, sweetie? All right, honey. I'll be down shortly. didn't really realize how it's 6:30. My goodness gracious. I didn't realize how late it was. So, I'm going to wrap this up. Because my husband's hungry. I'm hungry. So we need to get something to eat. It's way past our dinner time. So, with that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you that decided to pop in. I greatly appreciate it. And I may be back on tomorrow and at least just do a little bit of highlighting. But until then, I'm going to call it a day. I want to thank you very much. I hope you have a nice Saturday. And I'll see you again soon. Take care.